The war between Iran, US, and Israel is past geopolitics. There is more to their conflict that we don't know. And so in today's video, we are diving deeper, not just into politics and military strategy of this conflict, but into the Islamic perspective on the Iran war. And so if you have not watched the previous video where I detailed everything about the war, then please do so. If not, this particular episode will actually confuse you. And yes, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, put on some post notification and share. Until then, let's just begin today's video. Now let us start with what we know. On the 28th February 2026, US and Israeli forces launched a coordinated strikes on Iran and labeled it Operation Lion's Roar. Those strikes reportedly killed Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, that is Iran's supreme leader, and I've explained everything in the previous video, and also I detailed it all, so check that video out. Now, when we talk about Iran, we are not talking about an abstract geopolitical actor. Iran is a Muslim nation with deep connections to Shia communities. For millions of Muslims, the idea that a superpower alliance would assassinate the supreme leader of an Islamic republic is not merely a strategic strike. It actually feels like an attack on the Muslim sovereignty itself. So now, across Muslim communities online, this sentiment is widespread. Many say Iran was targeted because it refused to submit to Western influence. Many also see the US and Israel alliance as using military power to break the Muslim resistance from Iran. And many people also question why there is so much emphasis on neutralizing Iran when there are other threats from other countries like Russia and then China. And these aren't fringe feelings, they are widespread Muslim reactions to a war that feels existential. The second part has to do with oil in the region of Iran.
Fears over the global oil supply sent prices soaring overnight. NBC News senior business correspondent Christine Romans joins us now. This is a major oil hub, so when might we feel the impact of this, Christine?
In a matter of days. We're looking at oil prices this morning surging here around the world, and it's a pretty dramatic move. And you're seeing stock index futures, stock markets down around the world because of the risk of a prolonged crisis, war in the Middle East.
You see, the Strait of Hormuz was effectively shut down due to this conflict, and that strait handles roughly 20% of the world's crude oil and liquefied gas, as per some reports. When that choke point gets disrupted, oil prices surge, hurting ordinary people worldwide, and energy markets panic, as well as big oil companies and the military powers repositioning their influence. And so many Muslims believe the real motive behind this war, especially from the US perspective, may include economic control, not just nuclear concerns.
Look at there, the Strait of Hormuz, 20% of global oil goes through there, and our sources are telling us you have dozens and dozens of ships that are now anchored, not moving through here, concerned about potential violence in this region.
Iran sits on top of some of the largest known oil and gas reserves in the world. Controlling or destabilizing Iran's energy infrastructure gives enormous leverage to Western powers. Meanwhile, the US and its allies often act first when Middle Eastern energy is actually threatened. And this doesn't mean that oil is the only reason for the war, but no one seriously would deny that it is also a major factor.
So restricting supplies is something that sends these oil prices up. So if you see $10 a barrel for crude, an additional $10 a barrel of crude, that's about 25 cents what you would pay at the pump. And that can happen in a matter of 2, 3, 4, 5 days. So watching that very carefully here. We do know that the OPEC plus group of producing nations, about 50% of oil production they account for. They have said they're going to raise production starting next month. That is a tacit nod that there could be some disruption, potentially some higher prices here. But I'll tell you, the gas price story had been a good part of the affordability story in the United States, a rare good bright bright spot in the affordability story. We'll watch very carefully to see how quickly those gas prices rise from a current level of just about $2.99, $3 a gallon, how quickly gas prices will rise. It depends on what happens next, how long this lasts, and how wide it spreads.
All right.
So we cannot leave that particular one out because it makes a lot of points. Now, there are online theories and allegations which, while not verified, are facts and are being widely discussed, especially among younger audiences and conspiracy forums. One of the most popular of them is the Epstein Files.
Americans are not gaining from this war. Americans who are struggling at home with grocery prices, gas prices, lack of healthcare, they don't get anything out of this attack. The Israelis clearly do. And of course, Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein is the elephant in this room. The idea that this isn't about distracting from Epstein, I'm sorry. Maybe that makes me sound conspiratorial these days, but I think everyone watching knows it's 100% true that Epstein is a factor in all this.
Some online commentators actually argue that the exposure of the Jeffrey Epstein scandal with its blackmail allegations and hidden powerful figures created leverage over world leaders, including the former US politicians. They claim that this leverage helped the US push into the war at a convenient time for their unseen agendas.
This is a president who just 48 hours ago, there was a 24-hour media cycle about how the DOJ had covered up files in which a woman claimed that when she was a child, she was sexually abused by Donald Trump. Again, unverified allegations, but allegations that are in the DOJ files and that the DOJ covered up.
And now, know that this isn't mainstream journalism, but it is part of what many people are thinking and also discussing today. And as Muslims, even if we don't accept these theories as fact, there is value in asking them. You see, there is a perception, especially online, that this war is part of a broader project of territorial or ideological expansion. For example, critics argue that Greater Israel agenda has been referenced by certain groups who believe Israel should extend territorial control beyond its borders, and then they link this to long-standing conflict with Lebanon, Gaza, Syria, and now the country of Iran.
So to the Israelis, they were always perceived as a threat. If you can change the regime, if you can seize a certain moment in history where that regime can be changed, you wouldn't say no to that opportunity.
And these beliefs themselves are not part of the Islamic teachings, but they reflect Muslim frustration with repeated involvement in wars that affect Muslim lives disproportionately. And so when the ordinary Muslims see families displaced, children being killed, and cities being bombed, the emotional reaction is not detached. It is, of course, human. And this is why the conflict feels personal to many Muslims around the world, not just it being strategic.
اینی هم که میبینید گاهی صحبت جنگ میکنن که ما با فلان جور هواپیما با چه میاییم چنین میکنیم، این هم جدید نیست. در گذشته هم آمریکایی‌ها بارها در حرفهای خودشون تهدید میکردن که همه گزینه‌ها روی میز است. همه گزینه‌ها یعنی از جمله گزینه جنگ. این همیشه میگفتن دیگه. همه گزینه‌ها روی میز.
Now, let's talk about Iran itself, not as a perfect nation, but as a Muslim country with identity, history, and theology. You see, Iran's government is clerical, meaning it claims its authority partly through religious legitimacy. For many Muslims, regardless of sect, this matters because Iran asserts Muslim identity in resisting foreign intervention. It also stands as a counterweight to Western and Israeli influence in regional geopolitics. And this does not mean complete agreement with all Iranian policies, but from a Muslim emotional standpoint, many see Iran's resistance as standing up to external pressure, defending sovereignty, and rejecting domination. And this Islamic worldview fuels support in ways simple geopolitical narrative will actually fail to explain. And so, brothers and sisters, this war is not just about territory, ideology, or oil. It is about power, influence, and the narratives that shape human lives. And as Muslims, we must be wise. At the same time, we cannot accept global domination and interference as moral either. Our faith calls us to seek the truth, uphold justice, and pray for peace. And that is what we're actually looking for. Well, that is it for today's video. Let me know what you think about this conflict in the comment section down below. Subscribe to the channel, put us on post notification, and share this particular video. And this is, of course, the Muslim's perspective. Until next time, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.